And I want to speak today about our future, not just about our bilateral future, but about our future in this region, here in the Arctic. We're entering a new age of strategic engagement in the Arctic, complete with new threats to the Arctic and its real estate and to all of our interests in that region.
This, my friends, just became really relevant. What you just saw was Secretary of State Mike Pompeo for the United States giving a speech at the Arctic Council 1 year ago. Yesterday, he followed up with this.
In a third line of effort, we continue to defend American interest in domains of growing importance. I'm pleased to announce we will reopen our consulate in Nuuk, Greenland this summer for the first time since 1953. Its reopening will boost the shared prosperity and security of our friends in Greenland and Denmark and strengthen our partnership with our Arctic allies. It's a statement of America's commitment to the Arctic as non-Arctic states look to exploit the region for their own interests, as I warned of back at the Arctic Council just last year.
So just to clarify, the Arctic states that Mike Pompeo is talking about in this speech are the member states of the Arctic Council. It goes Canada, Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, Russia, Sweden, and the United States. Outside of those nations, there are something called observer nations, and these nations don't have the right to speak at the council, but they have the right to participate. The most important of those observer nations for this video is China. Alright, so in the speech, Mike Pompeo talks about how the Arctic has a bunch of unexploited natural resources like gas, oil, even diamonds and gold. But the emphasis of his speech is how the US would like to establish a strategic foothold within Greenland. So do you remember how Trump was ridiculed for wanting to buy up Greenland from Denmark? Well, actually, most other American presidents throughout history wanted to do the same thing. And by the way, so did Russia and so did China. You see, Greenland isn't just some small island in the middle of the ocean. It's actually 4 times the size of a country like Spain. And it's only got a population of around 56,000 people, which makes it the perfect strategic landmass for military control in the whole region. Before I forget, make sure to click the subscribe button if you like the content that I'm creating. I'm a small channel, so it really helps me out a lot. Thank you. So the US announced recently that they are going to reopen the US consulate in Greenland, Nuuk, which is kind of the capital of Greenland. And it's been closed down since 1953 when it stopped serving its purpose after the World War II. So it was created back in 1940 to counter the military activity that was going on by the Russians and the Germans in the sea in and around Greenland. And now, recently, good old China has begun moving a lot of money towards infrastructure in the Arctic. From 2012 to 2017, China invested more than $90 billion in the whole region. Officially, they're up there creating these shipping lanes that China's gonna use. But recently, there's been a spike in military activity from China. China says that these security forces are actually just there to protect the Chinese citizens working for Chinese companies, so they need Chinese security forces. The problem with that is that the Chinese government owns these security forces. And since the Chinese government is a communistic government, it's the same as the military. It's basically the military. And there's something weird about a huge army of submarines protecting a bunch of civilians working on land. So the US feels like they need to be on top of the situation. But the truth of the matter is that they have kind of their own reasons to gain the upper hand in the region. What all of these countries surely know is that this region holds around 13% of the unexploited oil reserves in all of the world, and it holds 30% of the gas reserves, also unexploited, in all of the world. Now, Greenland is owned by Denmark. That's me. and Denmark are not about to give over control to any of the big superpowers in the world. And Denmark have been in a long-standing strong alliance with the US, so there were fears in the beginning that Trump would use and apply a little pressure to Denmark because of that long-standing alliance. But he hasn't done so until now. In fact, it looks like the US isn't even trying to gain control of the territory, they're just trying to control what's going on. Mike Pompeo said last year in a speech that the US's position is that all member states of the Arctic Council are welcome to do traffic and trade in those waters as long as everyone abides by the same rules. So you can kind of imagine why everyone are trying to get control in Greenland, if not directly, indirectly, through economics or through infrastructure, or in any way gain control in Greenland. Because once you control Greenland, you kind of control that whole area of the Arctic Sea. So what's a little scary about this is we have all witnessed how the three big superpowers of the world, Russia, China, and the US, have torn through country after country in the Middle East in the search for oil and dominance, or as they would say, instill democracy. And now it looks like they could well take their proxy fights to the waters near Europe. I mean, I guess it is inevitable in some ways, and China hasn't really been good in the past at holding itself back on behalf of smaller countries' rights. I don't know, sometimes I catch myself being in favor of the US as being the police of the world, and sometimes I just don't agree with it. So what do you say to all of this? Are you a little worried that the three nations are beginning yet another proxy fight in another place of the world? Comment below in the comment section and I'll make sure to reply to you. Thanks for watching and have a great day.